Paying off your house early feels like the single most responsible thing a person can possibly do. No mortgage, no monthly payment, complete and total freedom. It feels like winning. And yet, for a surprising number of people, throwing every extra dollar at that mortgage is quietly one of the most expensive smart decisions they will ever make. Not always, to be very clear, but far, far more often than almost anyone is willing to admit. So, let me walk you through the actual math that almost nobody bothers to run before they start. Here is the core of it. A mortgage is, almost certainly, the single cheapest money you will ever get to borrow in your entire life. The rate is low, it is locked in, and it is stretched across decades. So when you throw an extra dollar at paying it down early, what you really earn is a guaranteed return equal to your interest rate, and nothing more. If your mortgage rate is low, that guaranteed return is also low. Meanwhile, over those very same decades, the broad stock market has historically returned a great deal more than a low mortgage rate. So prepaying can quietly mean trading a high-returning dollar for a low-returning one. Put an actual number on it for a second. Say your mortgage charges you 4%. Every extra dollar you throw at it early earns you exactly that, a guaranteed 4%, and not a single penny more. Now, say that very same dollar dropped into a simple index fund instead, averages around 8% over the long haul. Across 20 or 30 years, that gap, compounding the whole time, does not just add up. It quietly explodes into a difference that can end up larger than the entire mortgage you were trying to erase. Picture two neighbors, each with an extra $500 every month. The first one proudly throws all of it at the mortgage, knocking years off the loan. The second one makes only the normal payment and quietly invests that same $500 instead. Fast forward 2 or 3 decades. The first neighbor owns their home free and clear, which feels wonderful. But the second neighbor very often ends up with an investment account worth far more than the mortgage they never rushed to kill. Same money, same discipline, a strikingly different result. And then there is the trap that the math alone does not even capture: the problem of liquidity. Every extra dollar you bury into your house gets locked away inside the walls, where you genuinely cannot reach it. And here is the cruel irony. If you lose your job, or a real emergency hits, the bank does not care that you paid extra for years. You still owe the next payment, and you cannot exactly pull a brick out of the kitchen to cover it. A paid-down house does not pay a single one of your bills along the way. There is one more quiet force working in your favor that prepaying throws away, and that force is inflation. Your mortgage payment is fixed, frozen in place for the whole life of the loan. But over the years, inflation steadily shrinks what that payment is really worth. The check you write in year 20 is the very same number as year 1, but it costs you far less in real, lived terms. You are slowly paying the bank back with cheaper and cheaper dollars, and rushing to pay it off early hands that quiet advantage right back to them. And there is a sharp order of operations point hiding inside all of this. Before a single extra dollar ever goes toward that mortgage, you want your emergency fund full and your retirement accounts, especially any with an employer match, getting fed first. Pour an extra into the house while your investing sits half empty is like sprinting to repay cheap debt while ignoring free money and your own safety net. The house should almost never be first in line. Quick, honest note right here in the middle. None of this is financial advice, and this one genuinely depends on your numbers. Your rate, your taxes, and your temperament all matter enormously. So take this as a way to think, not a rule to obey. Now, back to it, because there is a very real other side to all of this. Because paying your house off early is absolutely the right move for a lot of people, and the reasons are completely valid. If your mortgage rate is high, then that guaranteed return from paying it down is suddenly high too, and it can genuinely beat what you would expect from the market. If you are right at the edge of retirement, walking in with zero house payment can be one of the most freeing financial states there is. And here is the most honest reason of all. If you know, deep down, that you would not actually invest that extra money, that it would just leak away into everyday spending, then paying off the house is a far better outcome than letting it quietly disappear. And there is something the spreadsheet can never, ever measure, which is the simple human weight of owing nothing to anyone. For some people, the guaranteed emotional return of a completely paid-off home is worth more than any extra dollar a chart could ever promise them. They sleep better. They worry less. They feel a kind of solid ground under their feet that no investment balance can quite replicate. And that peace is real, and it absolutely counts in the math, even though it never shows up in any column. So here is the genuinely honest synthesis of the whole thing. This decision is part cold math and part personal psychology, and you have to be honest with yourself about both. If your rate is low and you have the discipline to truly invest the difference, then investing usually comes out ahead over the long run, often by a wide margin. But if you crave certainty, or your rate is high, or you simply will not invest the gap, then killing the mortgage can be exactly right. The real mistake is not choosing one path. The real mistake is doing it blindly, on autopilot, without ever once comparing the two. And here is the part that quietly decides it more than any interest rate ever will. It comes down to who you actually are. The spreadsheet quietly assumes you will invest every spare dollar with iron discipline automatically for 30 straight years and never once touch it. Most people are simply not built that way. So the brutally honest question is not which option wins on paper. It is which option you will genuinely follow through on. Because the perfect plan you abandon always loses to the decent plan you stick with. And the best part is that this was never truly an all-or-nothing choice in the first place. You do not have to pick one extreme and abandon the other. You can invest the bulk of your extra money for growth and still throw a little extra at the mortgage for peace of mind. Or you can pour your energy into building the investments first, let them quietly grow, and then wipe out the mortgage in a single satisfying move years down the road. The smartest answer for many people lives somewhere right in the sensible middle. So before you send that next big extra payment to the bank, just pause and actually run the comparison for your own situation. Look at your rate, be brutally honest about your discipline, and weigh the math against the peace of mind, on purpose, with your eyes open. Tell me in the comments, just type the word pay off if you are team kill the mortgage, or invest if you would rather grow the money. I would love to see how this splits. And if you want the next breakdown, the one on how to erase your mortgage without actually pouring cash into it, it is waiting for you right now. I read every single one.